What is going on, everybody? I am back today to talk about a film that has not been released yet, but that comes out June 14th. And I've actually been really excited to watch this movie ever since I saw the trailer. And this film was written and directed by Jennifer Esposito, who has been acting for quite some time now, been involved in the industry for a while, and this is her directorial debut. And when I saw the trailer for the movie, it sounded super interesting and looked like a really unique take on the mob mafia genre, and I'm really excited to talk about her new film Fresh Kills with you today. Fresh Kills is directed by Jennifer Esposito. In the late 1980s and early 1990s in Staten Island, we follow Rose LaRusso, an inquisitive young woman who discovers her father is an emerging mafia kingpin. Rose's growing desire to break free from the path set before her soon threatens her existence and alienates her from her closest allies, her mother, aunt, and her sister. So, as I said, I was very excited to watch this movie after seeing the trailer, reading a bit about it, and this movie is awesome. It is a really fantastic directorial debut, and I really like how it subverts what we normally see in these mob and mafia type of movies. And the film has very deep, beautiful, emotional character writing and says a lot of powerful things about women in the movie, and I'm really excited to talk about the film in detail with you today. So as the plot description states, we're in the Staten Island area, and this film time jumps quite a bit throughout the movie, and it's through the 80s and the 90s, and we're focusing heavily on two sisters, Rose and Connie Caruso. And at the beginning of the film, they're children, and they've just moved into this new house with their parents, their father Joe and their mother Francine, who is actually portrayed by Jennifer Esposito. And they move into this new community, and we see very early on the family dynamics, and the power dynamics in the family are established really quickly. We know kind of where everyone fits in and what their roles are in the family, and we see some images early on that we can tell that the father is involved in something seedy. And what I really like about the movie is that throughout we don't ever necessarily know 100% what the mob and mafia are doing. We don't get intricate details, but it doesn't really matter knowing what the crimes are. It's just the fact that they're involved in crime whatsoever. And so we build the relationship between these sisters early on, and then we jump forward several years into the future when they're a little bit older, and we continuously follow them throughout their lives. And Rose and Connie are two very different people. Rose is kind of to herself, she's very soft-spoken. It's established really early on. She's not wanting to conform to the lifestyle that everyone else is living, and she seems to want more out of her life. She doesn't really want to live in this area. She doesn't want to just be at home, be forced into a marriage like everyone else. And Connie is very protective about her father and about her family and wanting things to kind of stay the way that they are. She's very outspoken. She's a very powerful character, but she's very set in her ways and thinks that the way things are the way things should stay. And the film is an examination of these relationships and watching the trials and tribulations of this family over time. So as I said, I thought this movie was a really fantastic directorial debut. For starters, I want to talk about the performances. The performances in this movie were fantastic. I felt like the relationships felt so natural. And in a movie that does a lot of time jumps and you're going place to place to place, other than the young actresses who play Connie and Rose early on, we do jump to the same actresses throughout the entire film. Emily Bader plays Rose, and Odessa A'zion plays Connie, and both of them are just so fantastic in their roles. As I said, both of them are very different. They both want different things out of life, and I think they embrace their roles and do so much with these performances. Rose's character, as I said, is very quiet and soft-spoken, and so a lot of the performance from Emily Bader in this movie is very quiet and nuanced and through facial expressions, and I was really impressed with how much she was able to accomplish in those moments where she was just very reactionary, where Odessa A'zion's performance as Connie is much more loud and brash and overt. And I think it brings these characters to life in a way that makes it easily relatable for both of them. You kind of understand where both of them are coming from and how they both have very different understandings of the way life and the world works. And I thought that both of their performances were exceptional. Jennifer Esposito writing and directing this movie and also starring in it, she is fantastic whenever she is in this movie. And I feel like what's so interesting about her character is how she's settled into this life and kind of understands that this is the way things go. But you can tell that she strived for something else when she was younger and that she really yearned for something different. And I can really feel the conflicting emotions in her character throughout the entire movie, just in her actions and the way that she speaks to her daughters and the way she interacts with her husband. You can tell she's conflicted about the whole situation, but almost feels like there's nothing that she can do to change it. It's like she's just completely and totally stuck. And her performance really added to that overall. I really enjoyed the structure of the movie as well. I think a lot of times when you watch movies that have a lot of time jumps, it can be really difficult to stick with the characters. But there was a lot of intentionality in jumping in these different time periods, and I feel like it was really easy to get settled into the moment and understand where our characters have been in that period of time and how they've grown or what they've dealt with in those years that we were not able to see on screen. For a directorial debut in an indie film, it's really well shot and there's a lot of attention to detail in the placement of the camera that creates dynamics between the characters. I think it's so important when it comes to cinematography to be able to tell a story without dialogue, and I think there's so many shots where the camera is placed in a spot that kind of creates separation or connection for the characters, and I was really appreciative of that attention to detail. And I think more than anything, what I love about this movie and what I think can be relatable for everyone that watches it is I feel like there are so many things in our life that are out of our control, and that there's so many things that we can try to do little things to change it and try to do little things to shift the overall outcome. But there's so much for us that is predetermined, whether that be expectations from our family early on, or governmental pressures, or pressures from just external factors that make our own personal decision making so difficult. And having to live through those really heavy forms of control can be difficult for so many people. And I think what Jennifer does a really beautiful job in this movie exploring is that being involved in a mafia family, you're being put in this situation where we don't know the extent of what the crime is, but with knowledge of how mafia works through other media and through our history, we know that when people get involved in that, it's very hard to escape, and a lot of people die, and there's a lot of consequences to the actions of other people. And I think putting it through the lens of these women who, they're two young daughters and a mother who are brought into this situation, once they're in it, there's only so much they can do to try to change it. And what I think is so powerful is the little actions in this movie, especially from Rose's character, try to shift the trajectory of where she is, because she doesn't want this to be her life for forever. And the sort of unknowing but also knowing what's going on, like everyone sort of acts like it's a surprise, but at the same time you can see through reactions and the way the family talks to one another, they know something is going on. It's not like they're completely and totally blindsided by it, but it's almost like they put up this invisible barrier so they don't have to think about the fact that these things are happening or where this money is coming from. And I thought all of that was really brilliantly nuanced. This movie's also speaking volumes to women and about the power of women, and about especially in this time period and in this specific environment, from this mob mafia angle, the expectations placed on women, especially Rose's character, where it's like, okay, we don't expect you to get a job, we just expect you to be a homemaker and to get married to someone who is involved in the organization so that you can have kids and continue to provide childcare and things while the men are out making money and committing these crimes and keeping the family going. And how women in this life are like, we're not comfortable just doing that. And what we can see through Jennifer Esposito's character as the mother, she didn't really want that for herself early on either, but she's been in it for so long and has children and is settled into where she's like, well, what can I do otherwise? Can I even escape? And so she falls into it and gets angry with her kids when they try to act out. And then you see Connie's character, who is very much comfortable with the lifestyle. She is very powerful and she speaks out a lot, but she's also willing to fall into line to keep things the way that they're going because she feels like it's protecting her family. And I think showing these women and showing all of their different circumstances created a really powerful narrative that I was really appreciative of. And you can really tell from the first frame of this movie just what a passion project it was for Jennifer. And I really enjoyed the experience of watching this movie, and I feel like my appreciation for it will just grow over time. I'm actually really excited to watch this movie again. I was lucky enough to be able to get to see a screener before it was released, but I'm really hoping it comes to a theater near me so I can see it on the big screen. And I would implore you, June 14th, when this movie's released, I think it comes out limited first and then it's going to be wider released, but I would 100% recommend checking this movie out. It's really fantastic, and I think you're going to like it a lot. So have you seen Fresh Kills? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Leave me a comment down below and let me know what you thought. I thought this movie was really fantastic. I enjoyed it a lot. It had great performances, and it had a really powerful message. As always, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always putting out new material and look forward to getting more out for you in the near future. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching and have a great rest of your day.